Welcome to another episode in the Kingdom Corner. I am Andrew, and with me is the man, as always, Mr. Dale Baker. How are we doing today?
Hey, happy 2024.
I know 2024. I would have thought by now we'd have flying cars, but
yeah. Well,
here I am still with my gas guzzling machine. So, I feel like I'm getting a little ripped off here.
oh, yeah. I thought we would be at least teleporting by now.
Oh, man, that'd be
Right.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Like just why we even time travel maybe would have been possible. So,
Yeah.
no, not
Yeah.
so
So,
much.
apparently technology is not advancing as fast anymore as we thought it was going to. So, we're now living in the years that they used to make movies about,
That's
right? So, they used to make movies about these future years, and here we are living the future
here we
years,
are.
and they're not quite all those movies cracked them up to be yet. So, who knows?
No.
Who knows? So, but anyways, we got a great episode for you today. We're going to be recapping the Chiefs versus the Bengals and a big matchup. The Chiefs end up winning this game, pulling out another division title for 8 years running. We're going to be breaking it down, looking at a little bit of MVS, some of his drops, maybe some of his reactions, looking at the future and playoffs. How far do we think the Chiefs can go? But we have a lot for you in this episode, so stay with us.
Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking right side. He wants it. A comeback cut. It is caught by Kelsey. Touchdown! Kansas City. The game is over. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions.
How about those Chiefs?
All right. Well, here we are. It is heading into the final week of the 2023 season. I know we're in 2024, but the 2023 season. So final game against the Chargers. I don't know if they posted a time yet. I know they were
325.
All right, 325. So final game for that coming up. But now we know that the Chiefs are once again the AFC West champions.
Hey,
so
all
we
right.
know they're going to have at least one home game. Yeah,
8 years in a row. 8 years in a row.
Yeah, that is incredible. I think I saw somewhere, maybe right after the broadcast, that the only longer streak was Tom Brady and the Patriots for consecutive division titles. So
And they had 11.
I think the Chiefs now, I love it too. I think the Chiefs now have broken the record or broken the tie, rather, for the AFC West titles. I think they were all tied, if I remember correctly, leading into the season, and now the Chiefs will have a one game or one championship winner up on all those other teams. So it's a great day to be a Chief. So, but all that to say this, Dale, how far can these Chiefs really go in this year's playoffs?
Well, I think it all depends after Sunday. I think you have to ask me that question on Sunday because seeing where the seeding is and who is the seeding, what happens. And so I think the Chiefs are locked in at the 3 seed, right?
Yeah.
The Baltimore Ravens are locked in at the 1 seed. And so there's a big question, who's going to be the 2 seed? Is it going to be Miami Dolphins or is it going to be Buffalo Bills? And that game will happen Sunday night. And so I think that'll be a big thing. So I don't know if the Browns can move up anymore or if they're locked in at the 5 seed.
No, they cannot, because they'd have to knock off the Ravens, which the Ravens already locked up to 1. So the most they can get is the 5.
Okay. Well, so I think the Arrowhead Invitational is still very much possible on the table.
All right. You heard it here first. Dale Baker is calling for the Arrowhead Invitational that is going to be happening once again.
Yeah.
So you heard it here first.
So the Chiefs would have to win their wild card game, and then they would have to win the divisional round, and then the AFC Championship game would be in Arrowhead. So the way I see that playing out is Cleveland beating whoever they have to play. I guess it would be the Jaguars right now, unless the Houston Texans come up and win. But it would be that game they would win, and then the 5 seed would no doubt play the 1 seed. Unless something crazy happened with the 2 seed. And so, which very well possible. So the 2 and 3 would play, right? The divisional round. And then I think Cleveland go in there. I think Cleveland go in there and beat Baltimore.
Yeah. I think they have a really good shot at doing that. I know they beat the Ravens at least once already this year, right?
Right.
And so it would not be far-fetched to say that they're going to, or at least have a chance to be again, especially with the way Joe Flacco has been playing here recently.
Right. Lights out. And how crazy would it be if Joe Flacco went into Baltimore, who brought them a championship, right?
Yeah. That would be crazy.
And then went in there and took away a potential championship from Lamar Jackson.
Right. So they played the Ravens in week 4 and lost to them 28-3. But then they played them a few weeks later, week about 10, I think it is here, and they won 33-31 against the Ravens. So, yeah, definitely a possibility that could happen. So, but here's the real question. What are the Chiefs' chances at making the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl this year? Because that's the real question, because, playoff wins are great. And I love that we can say this now, because as Chiefs fans, we haven't always been able to say this, but now playoff wins aren't what we consider a winning season anymore.
No.
What we consider a winning season is coming home with the Lombardi Trophy. So, what is the likeliness do you think that they can make the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, we have seen crazier things. Being NFL fans, we have watched just crazy things. I mean, the Pat Mahomes' first year, he went to the AFC Championship. His first year starting, he lost to the Patriots, right? And the next game,
let's point out, right?
Okay,
they should have made the Super Bowl, but they lined up offside. Anyways,
we gotta. Well, and the Phantom roughing the passer. Anyway, so then they played the Rams in the Super Bowl, and the score was. Do you remember the score to that Super Bowl?
I don't, but I do remember that it was not a close game.
13-3 was the score. The score in that Super Bowl? And so it relied on their defense and their running, and then there's game plan. So having 15 and having Andy Reid is always an advantage, and then also having our defense that we have now is always an advantage. And Spags is notorious for great plans during the Super Bowl. I mean, we've seen it with the Eagles. Against the Eagles, we've seen it against the 49ers. He's done it with the New York Giants twice against Tom Brady. He's just had great plans when he's come and we can scheme these guys. And so,
well, and especially this year too, if you watch these games, the second half adjustments that he is making this year are incredible. I mean, they're just about shutting people out every second half of the season. I mean, it's a masterful job.
Yeah. I mean, they had 17 points early in the second quarter.
Yeah.
And then they didn't score the rest of the game. Only Harrison Butker scored the rest of the game. And so
and 7 of those points came off a turnover deep in Chiefs' own territory. So you can't hold that completely against the defense when they're put in that bad situation.
Right. So do am I delusional? Yes. I will.
I will. At least you can admit it. At least you.
When I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm delusional. All right. But do I think we could? I think this formula can win if Pacheco gets going and Clyde gets healthy again from the sickness he was out this past week. I think you just say, hey, we're just going to run until they start bringing help, and then hopefully Mahomes just can be magical three times that game. And I think if he can do that, then I think it can be, instead of asking him to be, I think this whole season has been, Pat, get out there and do something. And I think
he's been trying.
And he's been trying. Yeah. And I don't think
it hasn't always worked out this year.
It has not. But I think if you say, hey, we want you to be magical 3 times, I think that could alleviate some pressure on him and then just kind of game manage, be a game manager, and win.
Hey, there's been many a quarterback who've won Super Bowls being a game manager.
Right.
So
Joe Flacco.
Honestly, Joe Flacco. Honestly, Peyton Manning his last year at the Broncos.
Yeah,
it was the defense that won that for him.
The defense and the right. So I think we have the coach, we have the formula, we have the quarterback, we have the defense. Yep. It's just if we can be special on that night.
Yeah. Hey, I would agree with you with that. If they can get the running game going, man, watch out. That's going to be a team to beat, honestly. Because now the question comes back to how's our offensive line going to play in each game?
Right?
Because the Bengals, outside of Trey Hendrickson, who is a rock star on the defensive line, the Bengals don't have a bunch of – I'm not saying they don't have good players. They have some good players, but they don't have the studs like some of the other teams do, such as, like the Browns, or even San Francisco or the Eagles, who are loaded at defensive line. And so Well, even against the Raiders, right? The Raiders have Max
Right.
Crosby. Who else do they have that's great on their defensive line?
Yeah. Well, the guy on the other end, 51, is he 51? He was, they were killing us.
Well, yeah, and that's my point is a lot of it's going to depend on how well our offensive line is playing.
Right.
Whether it's against people, like the Raiders or against people
Yeah.
like the 49ers or the Browns or whoever, can they block well enough? Because against the Raiders, our offensive line was atrocious. I mean, they couldn't run the ball to save their life in that game. Just it was not going well for them at all. And so we have a great offensive line, especially the interior of that. And so, man, if they can really get those guys to work together and play hard, man, and get that running game going, I'm with you. The Chiefs can easily make a Super Bowl run if that's the case.
Right. But
they
the
have
thing
to
is,
rely on MVS and Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney to make some incredible catches. I don't know that I would hold out hope for that.
Right. Well, I think the big thing was Andy Reid can't abandon the run so fast. Even I think this past Sunday, I thought he abandoned the run just a little too soon, where it was like you're trying to just be too Mahomes dependent. I mean, the run was working. Keep running, keep going, just jump on Pacheco's back and let him run all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Hey, I'd be all for it. I'm going to take a Super Bowl win however we can get it, no matter what it is. So, So on Sunday, we were averaging 6 yards a carry, running the ball, and holding the Bengals to 3.3 yards per carry. So, pretty good number, 6 there. So, basically you're running the ball twice and you're getting a first down on average, right? And I know Pacheco had a couple big runs in there too, but even so, I mean, if you're running the ball that well, I don't know why you win it. So Pacheco only had 18 carries, which is kind of middle to high, not necessarily extremely high, but in the upper echelon of it at least, and had 130 yards. So that's pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good. I would like to see Pacheco like 18 to 15 carries and then get Clyde in there 10 carries. You know, of course, that's going to be less passing for Mahomes, but I think hey, we just got to – and then pick your spots. Do those RPOs. You see it. Maybe get a quick out to Travis Kelce, get some Rashid Rice action going and just see what can happen. Get McCole Hardman running that jet sweep. I mean, we haven't seen that in a while.
Well, he's been on injured reserve for a while, so I'm not sure he saw much of the field even on Sunday. I don't recall even seeing him on the field. So I'm sure he was a time or two, but not much. And he didn't have any targets or catches. So, and I will say this about the running game too, because sometimes they should abandon the run when it's not working at all, and they don't. And they're like, you know what? Let's run it 3 times up the middle. They will not catch on to this.
Right.
What? We ran it to the right and left of the center every time. How did they figure this out? It's like, I'm with you to not abandon the run, but if it's completely not working, you have to not necessarily abandon it altogether, but you have to go back to your passing game too.
Yeah. Definitely. And I was just saying from Sunday night or Sunday afternoon's game where is averaging 6 yards a carry. Let's just keep riding this until maybe it stops. So
yeah, that's right. Real life here, folks.
Real life. Yeah.
All right. Well, so I'm gonna give you since you didn't really answer my question, only talked about, why they could or should make a run. I need some more definite answers. What is your percentage you're putting on making the Super Bowl versus winning the Super Bowl?
Oh man, I think making the Super Bowl, I'll say it again, 87% chance.
All right, still pretty high. What about winning it?
15% chance.
Oh man. I mean, I know where you're picking those numbers. That's a big drop off once you.
It's a big drop off, but I think I don't think the Cowboys are going to make it. I think it's the 49ers to lose, and they can stay healthy. I mean, they just got so many weapons on offense, and their defense is stacked. And it's just one of those things where not saying that we can't beat them, because I think we can, and I think that's why we got a 15% chance of doing it. So no, I probably realistically, if we made it to the Super Bowl, I'd give it a coin toss. 50-50.
I mean,
really. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
really it'd be 50-50 toss.
If I throw my number out there at this point, and we might change it after watching next week and see what happens too. But
Yeah.
at this point, I think the Chiefs have about a 30% chance to make the Super Bowl.
All right.
I think there's, every team that's in the playoffs on both the AFC and NFC side have some major flaws. Every single one, including the Ravens, who've demolished teams the last 2 weeks. But even they have some major flaws. And so, but I still think 30% is a pretty good shot when you're talking about 7 teams. So, and then if they make the Super Bowl from there, I give them a 40% chance to win, depending on who they're playing against. So pretty close to 50-50, but I'm afraid that some of those teams, if they take away that run game and they have to rely on passing exclusively, it's crazy it is to say with Mahomes, I'd be a little bit worried, but I do think Rashee Rice is stepping up in a huge way.
Oh man, unreal.
Yeah, let's jump into the Bengals game a little bit as we are originally intending to as well. So, but right now, the guy you have to talk about first, MVS, right? What is your reaction to? Well, let's first break this down. So there's a pass that potentially would have gone for a touchdown or close to it if he would have caught it. Mahomes is under pressure, about to be sacked. Mahomes throws it to a crossing route over the middle to MVS. It's not a perfect pass by any means, but it's right on his hip, maybe a little bit in front of his hip. You'd want it, maybe 12 more inches out in front of him, something like that. So, but not an impossible catch by any means. These are kind of catches, and that ball placement is still a placement that is going to be caught 90% of the time by 90% of the NFL players, if not higher. MVS drops it, right? So then he runs over and kind of looks back at Mahomes, is kind of pointing his hands like, hey, right here's where I want it, almost showing on national television. Mahomes, you made the mistake. Throw it here. Right. What's your initial reaction to seeing that?
Oh, yeah. I think when we both talked about this, both fired us up. Just kind of like unreal that he would that's what you get that's what you get paid, man. I'm a pastor, so if I I said, well, I didn't prepare anything Sunday morning. We're just gonna go home. I think I might lose my job. If maybe one Sunday they'd be like, oh well, things happen. The next Sunday if they were to do that, I think they'd be like, well, probably sit down and talk with the staff, and the deacons probably would give me a chat. But then the third Sunday if it were to happen, I think they'd be like, I think we have a problem here. And so I think that's where we're with MBS. We have a problem here. And so, man, Patrick has been nothing but up class citizen, where he hasn't thrown you under the bus and saying, hey, I'm throwing these guys balls. They're not catching. They're making me look bad. Nothing like that. And so for him to do that was just crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was. Especially when you consider that even beyond this game.
Yeah.
There's been several games this year that MVS had some catches that should have been made.
Right. And
Yeah.
So
and I think it was the Eagles game, right, that we were talking about, that he had that wide open catch down late in the game. He should have caught it and would have scored a touchdown, potentially with the time that was left, would have won the game for the Chiefs, and went right through his hands.
Right through it.
Right. And so even then, Mahomes like, hey, I got to put the ball in a better spot.
Yeah.
First off, you can't. It was a perfect pass. But even beyond that, even in Sunday's game, right, there was another deep shot to MVS, which, yes, he was a little stretched out for, but it went through both his hands. Not one, not like he jumped for it in the air, just running in stride, 2 hands out, goes between them both.
Right.
You can call that what you want. I call it a drop. If it goes between both your hands, that is a drop, right? And so that's some. He only got targeted 3 times, had 1 catch for 3 yards, right? And the other 2 would have gone for huge yards.
Oh man,
potentially 2 touchdowns if he catches those, and he doesn't. Mahomes still doesn't throw him under the bus, and he's over there on the sideline looking at him. Well, not even on the sideline, just towards the sideline on the field still. Looking back at Mahomes saying, hey, this is your fault. Put the ball right here.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm thinking, dude, of all people, you are not the guy to say this.
Right.
And to your point, this is what you're getting paid to do. You're getting paid to make catches. You're getting paid to get both hands on the ball and to catch that thing and to run with it, and you're not doing it.
Right.
So I'm at the point now where I'm all for benching him for the rest of the year. I really am, because he's becoming more of a liability than he is an asset.
Right.
Right. When you're having game-changing moments week after week and you're not coming up with any of them, and it's not like it's a highly contested catch with 3 guys on you and you're expected to come down.
Right.
No, you've ran past everybody. Just catch it and you score. And that's what you're getting paid to do because of your speed, and you can't do it.
Yeah. And that was like that 3rd and 3 play where he hit him in the hip and he dropped it and they kicked the field goal, whatever. I mean, 6 offensive plays later, Pat goes right back to him and throws him that deep shot. And so I think that shows you what kind of guy Pat is. And like, he's forgetting about what you just did. He's like, okay, he's putting trust in you that like, hey, you're going to catch it. And you're letting him down even more. Like, just catch the ball, man. Just catch it.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about maybe getting the extra yards. I mean, you would have had the first down easily. If that's what you're trying to do, just catch it and then get the extra yards, get the yak, But hey.
Well, Sunday, Patrick Mahomes went over 4,000 yards again. No surprise there. He has 4,183 yards at this point. Travis Kelce is now 16 yards away from another 1,000-yard season. Isaiah Pacheco, right? Coming in here, 65 yards away from a 1,000-yard season. So, I mean, those are some great numbers there. So, especially for a rookie wide receiver who struggled at the beginning of the year, and now he's figuring it out. And you can tell Mahomes trusts Rashee Rice.
Oh, yeah.
Giving him the ball.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and so here's what the other thing it reminds me of, too. I think Patrick Mahomes is kind of falling back to like 2020 Patrick Mahomes. You remember the year that he was just scrambling way too soon, that he wasn't standing in the pocket. And that's what we're seeing a lot, especially, in the last couple of weeks. Yeah. It's hard to blame too much because the offensive line hasn't always held up their protection, especially in the tackle spots. And we talked about that before, so we won't keep beating a dead horse here. But he's getting pressure, but there's sometimes that he's not getting pressure, but he's not trusting his line enough to stay in the pocket.
No.
And so he's escaping or trying to scramble out to the right or left, trying to make something happen.
Right.
And so if Mahomes can learn to trust the line when it's there, I'm not saying that it's going to be perfect. When it's not there, for sure, scramble for what you can.
Yeah.
Right. I'm all for Mahomes even running and making the defense put another guy in the box to stop him, because that just opens up the passing game more if he's a run option. Right. So, but Mahomes has got to start settling down a little bit and trusting the line.
Because I think like early on there, when he wasn't trusting the line, it would be like a third down, and he would just throw his, to Pacheco out in the flat, and then he would get sackled, and then it would just kill the drive, right? And so it was like, man, and like, not that he wasn't being pressured, but it was like, you're just like, seems like you're giving up pretty quick. But on the flip side, when we needed a first down, what did Mahomes do? He goes, I will get this first down. And he took off. And
that was incredible.
Yeah. Yep. Yes. So,
and, on the replay, if you saw from the right angle, you might have seen it. But some people might have thought, oh, you should pass it to Pacheco. But if you saw on the replay, Pacheco got leveled by a defender behind him. There was no Pacheco to throw to. And so Mahomes says, don't worry, I got this. And put his shoulder down and got in, and it's always exciting to see your quarterback, put his shoulder down into somebody, as long as he comes up not hurt, of course.
Right. We don't want a dislocated knee or anything, or a concussion in the middle of the playoffs or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, there's even a few plays on Sunday too, where talking about Mahomes scrambling too much, where Mahomes was too quick to throw the ball to the outlet pass. If he would have waited 1 or 2 more seconds, which I know is a lot in the NFL, but he had the time.
Right.
Kelce or Rashee Rice or something would come open across the middle, but the ball was already gone by that point. And so, all I'm saying is, if we're going to make a deep run, you got to get the running game going, but you also have to, Patrick Mahomes has to trust his line at some point.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't, they're not going to have a successful passing game, even when they have to rely on it anyways.
Yeah. Well, how about the Bengals game? How about that defense? I mean, how many sacks did we have?
Man,
6?
well, there in the very end, they got what seemed like about 7 in a row. It wasn't 7 in a row, but man, it sure
No.
seemed like it. So, but we had 6 total
Yeah.
sacks in that game.
Okay, 6 sacks. Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
That is. So the Chiefs are figuring it out. So, but once again, I'll point this out too, and we point out a lot too. We have to clean up the turnovers. I mean,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. For
you
sure.
got to talk about that, right? The turnovers have to be cleaned up. Whether it's Mahomes just lofting a ball up and it being picked off for a pick six, guys fumbling it, or just hitting their hands and popping it up, whatever it is.
Yeah.
They got to fix those things. And so,
Right.
man, I don't know what the solution is other than to tell these guys, hey, don't even try to run the ball until you catch it. I don't care if you catch it and fall down right there. That's better than you dropping the ball, right? So, I mean, we're all 4 yards after the catch,
Right.
but it doesn't matter if you don't catch the ball, right? So
Bingo.
it just starts with that, just doing the basic things, and it's easy for us to say here when we're not, at the practice fields and things like that too.
Well, yeah, we'd both be dead after one play.
Oh yeah. I mean, if they snapped the ball to me one time, I'm for sure well, I'll tell you this, Joe be getting some life insurance money. We know that. So, that would be the result if I had one snap in the NFL. I'm quite sure.
Oh yeah, I am. Those people are.
Yeah, they're beasts. So once again, taking nothing away from these guys and the work.
Oh no, heavens no.
But at the same time, they're getting paid to play this sport. And it's a sport that we love and so many people around the world love to watch. And so we just want to see a good product, and every team wants to see it too. And so when you see a product that's not up to your expectations, it just leaves you a little disappointed. So we just want to see a good product. Just do the basic things that they teach you in Pee Wee football, right? Look the ball into your hands, tuck the ball in when you catch it, secure the ball when somebody's coming around behind you, whatever it is, right? So just the basic, simple things. Do those things first, and then worry about the big plays after that.
Well, what's crazy, I think, from the game in whole. I mean, I'm glad we got the win, 8-point win, right? Fantastic. You mentioned earlier in the podcast 1 touchdown,
right?
So if you take 25 minus 7, that leaves you what, 18 points. So even with Harrison Buckner and kicking field goals, we still would have won that game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's crazy to think. I mean, he had 19 points in the game. Just him by him and himself. Tommy Townsend and what's the long snapper there?
James Winchester.
Yep, James Winchester just doing work. And so we had hats off to those guys and Harrison Buckner. He's been clutch this year. I mean, I know he's missed 2. He's missed 2 this year, but he made 6. He made 6 Sunday, which is pretty impressive. I guess 7. You can say 7 with the extra point.
Right.
So pretty impressive. And so not that we want to win games.
Win games that way, you should say.
Right. Yeah. Win games that way. Yeah. Win games that way by kicking
we'll
field
take
goals,
the win however we can take it. But let's be honest, in the playoffs, kicking field goals is not going to win you games. It's just not. You're going to be playing against the better teams in the NFL. You're not going to be playing against the Bengals. They're eliminated, right? They're not going to be teams like that. I mean, I'm saying that there's not teams that might struggle a little bit here and there, but
a quarter or so, like the Chiefs did with the Houston Texans, right? Where they struggled and then they figured they snapped on for sure. So yeah.
So what the Chiefs have to clean up, to kind of wrap this up a little bit.
Right.
The Chiefs have to clean up their turnovers. That's y'all are saying, but they also have to clean up their red zones, right?
Oh, I know.
The red zone, the Chiefs are still not doing very well. They were 1 for 3 in the red zone on Sunday, so only scoring touchdowns on 33% of those. And sometimes they got right outside the red zone, so it didn't quite count as a red zone visit. But when the Chiefs get down deep in opponent territory, they got to capitalize on that.
Right.
So
they
got to clean up the red zones and clean up the turnovers. And get their running game going. And I think if they do that, we'll be in good shape. So,
So week 18, the LA Chargers.
That's right.
I know
the Chargers, so it'll basically be another home game.
Right.
The LA Chargers don't have a whole lot of fans. A lot of guys playing.
No. Do we rest the core?
If it's up to me, no.
All right.
And I know that it's good to give. I'm not saying they have to play for the entire game,
Right.
but they're going to play for 3 quarters.
Okay.
And the reason why is because we need them to get in a rhythm because they've been so out of rhythm this year.
Right.
So, and if they're up in the third quarter, as long as they're in rhythm into the third quarter, then you can take them out. And I say the third quarter, not just halftime, because there's been many games this year, as we've noted before, that they've done well for the first half and then done nothing the second half. So I need to see it for 3 quarters. And then after 3 quarters, you can so if they come out of the third quarter and they score right away, they're going to get one more possession to see what they can do. And basically, they need to score twice in the second half, and then they can come out.
There you go. So you're saying the third preseason game?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I would do if I was in charge.
Okay. And, I mean, I'm sure Travis Kelce has somewhere in his contract that if he hits 1,000 yards, he gets some bonus.
Yeah,
and I'm sure Pacheco does too. If he hits, 65 yards, he gets a bonus. But maybe Clark Hunt may not want those boys to get the bonus.
Oh, that guy wants to hand out money. Don't you believe that? Don't you believe that?
So yeah.
Yeah, so he's getting close. Man, Rashee Rice is going to be close. So there's a lot of guys are going to be close on these things. So I hope all these guys hit all those stats and they all get everything that they deserve and want.
Get all the money. That's right.
That's right. Get it all. Get it all. So Rashee Rice is just a little under 65 yards away as well. So
wow.
A lot of people that are close to 1,000 yards between Kelce, Pacheco, and Rashee Rice. So
I mean, if you were to tell me those guys, I mean, I don't think we've had I know Juju didn't have 1,000 yards.
No, I think he had 900 and something.
Okay, so I mean that's pretty
impressive.
impressive.
It up again, but I think 900. Yeah, it is.
I mean, with all the offensive woes we've had, and I think Rice has really just come in his own. Because I think early in the year, I remember you asking me one of the questions, and Justin Watson was leading the team in yards.
Yeah. Yep.
So, man, kudos. And it seems like Travis Kelce hasn't been in the end zone since week 5. Gee whiz.
Man, it does seem like that, doesn't it? Well, think about this. When's the last time we even had a 1,000-yard rusher on the team? Do you know?
Larry Johnson.
No, it was more recent than that.
Oh, more recent than that.
Yeah. Well, you have to remember.
Jamal Charles. Charles, right?
Jamal Charles had several, and there's somebody even after that too. Somebody who you probably will know as soon as you hear it, but will be kicking yourself because it brings bad memories.
Oh no.
It's Mr. Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt, man, his rookie year at 1,000 yards.
Yep.
Yeah.
Man. He had 1,300 yards. So
gee whiz, Kareem, what it could have been, bud.
Yep. And then the next year ended up with 824, and that's the year that he got kicked off the team. So he might have hit 1,000 that year too if he hadn't been dismissed. But anyway, so lots of numbers coming up. So, but glad to get the victory on Sunday.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was a good hard fought victory as well.
That's right. All right. Well, later this week we'll be previewing the last game of the season against the Chargers. Maybe looking a little bit more into the depths of the playoffs and the seedings and what all those wins and losses might mean for the Chiefs and who they may or may not face off against. So make sure you join us for that. But as always, make sure you are subscribing to our podcast. Yes. Make sure you like it, share it. All those things, comment on it, leave us a review. Those things all help us and help those algorithms to help other people find this family-friendly podcast so you can get some great Chiefs content without all the coarse language that sometimes comes with that. So, which is unfortunate, but it's true too. So make sure you help us out in that department. So this episode is brought to you by Oh Hey Threads, where a portion of every purchase goes to support missions all over the world, one super soft tea at a time. We'll see you next time right here in the Kingdom Corner.